Welcome. Let's take a look now at some of the events to watch out for us traders for the week starting Monday, the 24th of July. Big week for central banks. Let's take a look at what's happening across the economic calendar. Beginning on Monday, we get the Eurozone manufacturing and services PMI data, and insight into how these sectors are faring and the lookout from this point on. Also, we get the UK data as well at 9:30 in the morning, and later on in the States, it's the same manufacturing and services PMI data as well. So we get a global snapshot of how these purchasing managers are feeling about the outlook. Quick update on what's happening on Tuesday, 25th of July, kicking off in the early part of the day with the German Ifo Business Climate Index. This is going to be key for trading the German DAX, also for the euro dollar ahead of some key central bank meetings this week. Also against the backdrop of US interest rates, we get the Consumer Board consumer confidence number out as well on Tuesday. Quick update on what's happening midweek trading session, early doors, Australia RBA trimmed mean CPI. Then comes the US data. New home sales is pretty much kicked into the long grass because later on in the day we get the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. Will they, won't they? The market's pricing in a 25 basis point rise this time around, but of course we saw the Fed skip last time. EIA crude oil inventories as well coming midweek. On Thursday, 27th of July, it's the German GfK consumer confidence. More data for the European Central Bank to chew on. It's the ECB interest rate decision around lunchtime on the Thursday. Again, possibly looking at 25 basis points in the bag so far as markets are concerned. Also later on the day, we get a look at second quarter growth in the States, the weekly jobless claims and pending home sales. And wrapping up the week, Friday 28th. We begin overnight where we get the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. You'll remember we've just seen some key consumer price inflation data out in Japan. Economists suggesting this doesn't really formulate a case for the Bank of Japan to start tightening anytime soon. France GDP, second quarter. Germany consumer prices out later on in the morning, and later on in the day, core PCE price index in the States, and rounding off the week as we always do with the Baker Hughes oil rig count. Tony Batista joins us now from Tasty Live. Tony, welcome. It's great to be able to catch up with you. What piques your interest for the week ahead there at Tasty Live?
I mean, I think next week you've got your Dow stocks. Microsoft is going to be a big one that everybody's going to want to look at. And then the following week you also have Apple on August 3rd. So you got Microsoft July 25th. Google also July 25th is going to be fun to look at. But really here in the States, it's been a lack of volatility. The volatility in Apple, just to take a quick look at, is about 60% year over year, pretty much what it was in 2022. So it looks like steady going here, but you got to be careful, when everything's very, when you least expect it. So we could find volatility to spike sometime very soon after these earnings cycles. I think you might see it next week after the rebalancing in the NASDAQ.
Yeah, let me just quickly pick up as well on the backdrop of central bank interest rate decisions next week. Is this something which is now overshadowed, do you think, by earnings? You mentioned some of the big earnings out next week, clearly top of the list. But in terms of economic data, is the Fed really going to tip it in terms of news headlines over the likes of Google, Microsoft and Apple and so forth?
Well, according to the CME FedWatch number, it's basically a done deal that they are going to raise rates on this next. It's like over 90% according to the implied volatility there. So I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be a surprise, unless, of course, they did something very dovish or very, maybe a half a percentage point, which I would never think.
Yeah, look, Tony, it's a pleasure. Thanks indeed for catching up with us, Tony Batista. Batista coming to us from Tasty Live. Tony was mentioning some of the corporate data out. I just want to quickly run through some of that data we're expecting next week, because there is an opportunity on the corporate calendar to look at what's happening. Monday, 24th of July, we begin here in the UK with Vodafone, the cell phone company, first quarter trading statement, and we get Philips on a second quarter number. On Tuesday, Unilever first half earnings, Alphabet out with figures after the closing bell on Tuesday on Wall Street, along with Microsoft and Verizon, all on Q2 numbers. Wednesday, let's take a look at what's happening here in the UK. We get Lloyds Banking Group, the first of the big banks reporting earnings in the next week. GlaxoSmithKline on its second quarter numbers, Rio Tinto on first half figures, and then later on in the day before Wall Street gets underway, Boeing on second quarter figures. Let's take a look at what's happening Thursday, the 27th. We begin in London with Shell at 7 o'clock in the morning, along with Barclays, both on second quarter earnings. Also in Germany, we get Volkswagen first half numbers. Later on in the day, Ford Motor on its second quarter, and Intel after the closing bell in the evening on Wall Street. Both those stocks trading all sessions on the IG platform. And then rounding off the week, AstraZeneca earnings Friday morning, first thing on Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning, first half figures, along with NatWest. And IAG, the company that owns Iberia and British Airways International Airlines Group, and Chevron and ExxonMobil before the market opens in the States. That's a run through of some of the stocks and some of the economic events to watch out for the week starting Monday, the 24th of July.